Hey and welcome to the Mazda guide on Oulton Park International. This track has a few difficult corners which take some practice, so don't be worried when you are a few seconds off the pace after your first session. There are many high-speed turns which have rather unusual entries, but once you figure them out and hit the exits, you will see that your times will drop after every lap. A short notice before we dive in: I haven't pushed the Mazda to its limits for a few months now, that's why some of my downshifts were right at the limit of the gearbox, which led to the rattling sounds. That's just me being me, downshifting a split second too early. You are fine when your car doesn't do them and don't have to try recreating them because it doesn't gain you any time. Let's go! The lap starts with one of those unusual entries. Stay on the far left and use the billboard on the wall as marker for braking. You want to give the brakes a short, hard tap, decelerate on the left side of the track and turn in quite late. If you turn in early and aim for the curb, you will run out of space because the exit is closing in. A straight is coming up, that's why you want to be on the throttle way before you reach the curb. The runoff, like the one on the left, is a no-go area on the whole track. You can use the curb, but going wider nets you an incident point. It's not clearly visible in the frozen picture, but there's a small dip in the track coming up, which I'm using as marker to hit my braking point. The turn itself is easy. Aim for a tight line and try to carry as much of your momentum as possible onto the next straight. There's no need to brake for the next turn. Use the cones on the right as marker and lift while turning in. You want to aim for a tight line again and exit on the far left. A hard braking zone is coming up. You can use the curb or AstroTurf-like area on the right side of the track as marker. Be aggressive on the brakes and decelerate towards the apex. Once you are at the apex, you want to hit the throttle and accelerate towards the outside of the track again. The next spot is technically difficult and you will need some practice to get it right. Use the right line for orientation to hit your braking point and aim for the curb on the left. The goal is to push the car as far to the left as possible to get a wider exit out of the chicane. It allows you to be early on the throttle for the next straight, which gives you an advantage. Turn the car once you made it past the curb and, as mentioned, be early on the throttle. That's the spot where I start to accelerate again, and like in turn 1, it's way before I reach the apex. This is important and you have to keep it in mind. Whenever there's a straight coming up, you want to be as early on the throttle as possible. Generally you want a tight run around the tire barrier, but it can also end your race if you touch it, so it's up to you to decide how many risks you want to take. The exit is tricky. You want to stay on the throttle at all costs. At the same time, you can't cut in wider than the width of the curb. If you cut in beyond the curb, you will receive an incident point. My line is pretty much the limit you can get away with. The 100 meter board is the marker for the next braking zone. You want to stay on the left side of the track and turn in quite late again. Turning in late allows you to exit the first right-hander of the chicane on the middle right side of the track. This leaves you enough space to set up your exit onto the next straight. Engage the throttle with 40 to 50% pressure, turn into the left-hander and step on it once you know you hit the exit. The key in this turn is to hit the curb on the inside. Push the car to the left to get a wide entry, lift briefly before turning in and accelerate into the last sector. There are two possible markers for the next turn. You can use the green board on the right or the change in the surface of the track. Tap the brakes and aim for the first inside curb. It's crucial to hit the inside of the first turn, else the car will swing to the outside and you will have to lift to avoid the grass. If you hit it, you can engage the throttle again and take the second turn flat out. The last turn is coming up. The brake marker I'm using here is a small dip in the track again, which follows shortly after the sign. It's hard to show it in a video, but it's easier when you experience it. After driving a few laps around here, you will notice that the entry is bumpy and uneven. Turn it into your advantage and use those bumps as markers. Attack the curb on the inside and, like before, step on the throttle as early as you can. That's it. If you want to drive against my Ghost or check the telemetry, you can find all the files on the Discord server, which is linked in the description below. The cockpit lab with my inputs is coming up. Don't forget to drop a like if the guide helped you. I wish you all the best for the next week and see you next time.